morning.
Morning.
All right. I've got my timer here too, so we'll see how we all do. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. This room feels really great, so it's nice to be a part of it. My name is Whitney McIntire Miller. I'm from Chapman University. I teach in the graduate leadership programs, and I do a lot of work around peace and leadership, so I want to share a little bit of that with you today. So I'm hoping to talk a little bit about leadership in general. I'm going to give you an entire semester's worth of leadership in 30 seconds. So those of you who are students, get your pens out. We'll see what we can do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the role of peace leadership too in that as well. Introduce you to a model that we've been working on to look at peace leadership and how to think about change in terms of peace and leadership. And then really kind of give us some things to think about as far as working with community and building community within that model. So those of you who know a little bit about leadership and the history of leadership, we tend to really think about leaders and not leadership, right? So who is the leader? Who's a leader? What does the typical, stereotypical leader look like?
White males.
White males, right? Absolutely. The hero leader, right? The white knight who's riding in on the horse to save the day. What would we do without them? Him, the tall white man to save us, right? So we found that this has been our sort of historical way of thinking about leadership, right? And okay, maybe it even wasn't so great decades ago, but maybe it worked, right? But it doesn't work anymore, right? We know that it doesn't work anymore. And we see really what's happening is that even the solo artist can't tackle the big problems that we have, right? We call them wicked problems, the problems that really are terrible, that's hard for us to solve. We can't do that with one person, not just the white male, any one of us, right? So we need teams, right? Teams to get this done. Groups of people who are flexible, who are adaptable, who are willing to work together to get things done. This makes sense, right? This isn't new to anyone, right? So what do we mean when we think about this if we think about peace, right? So we think about peace leaders, and who do we think about? King,
Mother Teresa.
Gandhi, Mother Teresa, right? We've got some new faces too, right? That's great. We see that peace leaders are essential, and we still need them. Right? We still live in a society where the leader is essential. The leader, right? Someone we can look to, someone who has vision, someone who can guide us. We live in a world where this is still required, right? But what happens if we start thinking less about peace leaders and more about peace leadership? What does it look like? What do you think? Absolutely. It's all of us. Right? It's you, and you, and you, and you. There's a lot of you in here, so I'm not going to go through the whole group of you. We would be here. That would use my 20 minutes like that. But it's all of us together, right? I found this image and I thought, what a great way to show how we can all work together to make a change, to work towards peace leadership. So it's in this vein that we've been doing some thinking about what it looks like to be engaged in peace leadership. What does that mean, right? We've already heard a lot about the inner work, which is essential, right? We all have to think about what peace means for ourselves. Right? We've heard a little bit about community building. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, how we connect in communities. But it's also important for us to really think about sort of what theories and practices and behaviors we engage in and that we know about. We know the things that we know that work, things we know that don't work. And also this sort of global systems that we're working in, right? We are not isolated people. Never have we been, but we used to pretend that we were, right? But we aren't anymore. No matter what we do or what we say, we just aren't. We are all connected in these systems that are nested upon each other. And we have to think about those too, right? And so we've really been thinking about how those things work together. So any of you are familiar with integral theory, We're going to get really fancy and academic for just like 30 seconds, I promise. Then we'll throw all that stuff aside. But Ken Wilber is sort of the father of integral theory, and it talks about how we have all these systems, these four pieces that work together, and once you have them all going at the same time, then that's where change really happens. And we thought, well, this might be what's happening with peace leadership. We felt, well, it's so stagnant. If you put four quadrants together, there's no movement and nothing really happens, and we didn't like it. So we came up with this fancy thing. We are not going to spend time on this because, I mean, that's the academic piece that's meh, right? We have these intersecting circles and all these sorts of letters and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to skip that. But what you see basically is that we've got these four pieces that intersect together. And the idea is that if we can get ourselves in a good place to work on all four of these things at the same time, that's when we can make change. And that's where really we're engaging in peace leadership. But we're going to talk about this in the basic four-quadrant model. It's a little bit easier to comprehend, to understand, especially with not so much time left for us to spend together today. But the important thing is that when we think about peace leadership, we're actually thinking about peace leadership in two ways. One, it's the first thing that's even before these two ways is that we do this collectively, right? It can't just be me, it can't just be you, it has to be us together, right? And when we put ourselves together in this space, we can do two things. We can both combat aggression. I'm trying to take back combat aggression, right? I feel like, we have this sort of negative connotation, but I find myself always saying a challenge or address aggression, but we can combat it with peace. How about that, right? But then also, we can build new structures and new systems that are both social systems and our ecosystems that address the world that we want to see, right? It's not just doing one or the other, but doing both. That's really hard, right? And it's not going to be easy. But here you can see we've got these four pieces, right? These are the four pieces that we see that seem to really connect with peace leadership. And this is the work that we've been doing about looking at examples and models of people who are doing this kind of work, looking all across the literature and peace literature and in leadership literature about what it could be that really could help us make change. So we see these four areas. The first is the inner work, right? We've already talked a little bit about that. The inner work is the piece that really focuses on us and what we need to do for ourselves to be peaceful and at peace. Right? And then we've got on the other side the theories, the behaviors, the practices. These are the things that we know work, have been proven, the facts, right? So these are some of the things that models that people have used, ways that people have gotten together. These are the pieces that we can say, this is what works, this is how we can do the actionable items that we need to do. And then it's important for us is this bottom left, this communities of practice, right? This connecting together in communities. Communities that exist already, communities that we form, communities that are negotiable between different people doing different things. And finally, this last piece, which is the systems piece, right? This piece that we are all embedded within each other, and we need to think about the fact that it's not just us anymore. What we do affects other people, which affects a larger section of people, which affects a larger, got the butterfly effect all over again, right? So the notion is that we have to be doing all of these things, and that they all intersect, and that's peace leadership. Easy, right? Why aren't we all doing this? Well, you are. You actually are at the same time, right? So interestingly enough, we're here as a community today, in this room. We also are communities inside of communities, inside of communities, inside of communities, inside of communities. And we all want peace. This is a big assumption, and they teach you not to make assumptions. But I think I'm safe to say that people in this room want peace. Hopefully. Yep. There's always the heckler, right, that says, down with peace, or something along those lines. So hopefully that's not you, right? I'm just going to safely assume that we all want peace. And this is really, really great news. We are all here together. We all care about these topics. But so what? This is great, right? But we've already had this challenge laid out by the people before me up here. What do? Is it a change for today? Is it a change for tomorrow? Is it a change for the year? Is it a permanent change? 21 days, right? 5 minutes, two things a day for 5 minutes, 21 days means you've got to have it. So what do we want? How many of you have already made connections with new people today? One new person. 2 new people. 5? 10? All right, the hands start to go down, right? So we're thinking about building these communities. We need to make a commitment to connect with each other, especially here in this room. We all are doing the same things. We all want the same things. Yet how many of us came in, got our coffee, and sat down at a table and didn't move and didn't look at people until they sat down next to us, and then we felt we had to introduce ourselves, right? How many of us really made the circle around the room, saying hi, shaking hands, patting backs, do the typical politician kissing babies? Are there any babies to kiss around here? I'm not sure, but right. So we think about how can we connect with people, because part of this is making connections and building connections with people, with each other, and with ourselves, which is really important. Right? We had to break down our own walls, the inner peace, P-E-A-C-E for the P-I-E-C-E, right? And then we had to break down walls with each other, right? In order to build these communities that really make a difference. And that's really essential. And it's not easy. It's not an easy task. And first, we sort of have to start with our own work, right? So I'm going to just talk really briefly about sort of the left hand of this model for us today. Those of you, especially of you who've been trained in all sorts of things on the left-hand side, you know some of the nonviolent practices and resistance and these sorts of things. So we need to talk a little bit about the inner work, right? We have lists of here. These are some of the big ones: stress management, mindfulness, meditation, yoga. How many of you do some sort of inner work practice? Yoga, meditation, wow, walking, whatever it is, that's great. I'd say 75% of you, so good job to you. It's really important for us to really think about what that inner work is. For me, recently, I've been thinking about gratitude, which Wes brought up earlier, and about love. That's been the work that I've been doing. And I challenge you to think about the work that you can do. Those of you who already have a good start, you're ahead of the game, right? But think about what you can reflect on and how you can bring about your own peace, right? In order for us to move forward in thinking about peace and change. And then we get to this community piece. Woo! Got a little big there on this transfer of the slides, but hopefully you can still see it. So then we think a little bit about this community piece, right? And this is where we are today, with each other, working on building these communities, right? Working on how it is that we can connect and how we can build strength together. So how might we do this today? If you can see that it says relationship and coalition building, social and human capital, trust building, leadership. What are some of the ways that we can do this today? Not everybody wants. Networking. Yeah, networking. What else? Yeah. Talking with each other. Yeah. What else?
Put away your cell phone and look at people.
Put away the cell phone and look at people and talk to them?
Yes.
Wow. That is shocking. All right. Yes. In the back. Offer to share your home with a hug. Offer to share a hug with a stranger. That's a great idea. I think we should do that. Stand up. If you're feeling comfortable, there's no pressure if you're not, but I invite you to share 2 hugs with people right now. All right. Well, that was nice. How's everybody feeling? Better? Good. All right. Well, we've got the gratitude in the back there for our hug idea, so thank you. What are some other ideas about building community? Now we're halfway there. I mean, you've hugged. Once you've hugged, that's it, right? Now you're friends for life, so hopefully that's the case. What else might we do to build some community? Smile. Yeah, smiling's great. Yeah.
Assume positive intentions.
Assume positive intentions. That's really great, right? How often do we not do that? Yeah. Get involved. Yeah. How might we get involved? Yeah.
I get involved by taking clean socks out to those on the street that have no socks or wet socks. And it starts, and then they get the courage to go on and help someone else.
So helping and passing that help on.
Socks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Socks.
Socks? With socks.
She gives socks.
You give socks. Socks. That's great to the homeless, and then there's a sense of help that passes on. That's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. Yeah. Do you have one down here? No? You already did a good job making the rounds around the table, so I think that counts as building community, right? Getting out of our own tables and where we are. So this is actually our big challenge, right? This is the area where, especially in the digital cell phone age, right, where we struggle a little bit because we are so connected to our phones and less connected to each other in real space. That's not to say that we aren't connected in really great ways via technology. There was a day not too long ago where through technology, I spoke to people in 5 different countries in the same day. I couldn't have done that not that long ago. It was kind of a wonderful, by country number 5, it dawned on me. I thought, wow, this is really amazing that I can do this, right? So I think that the challenge we really have is this building of community. And what we do is we build social capital, right? We are able to build upon each other's strengths and assets, because when we're thinking about what peace leadership looks like, we know if we're moving away from this hero, leader, Superman type model, right? We know when we can step into leadership roles and when it's not our time, right? When we're in these groups that actually are connected to each other, where we build on each other's strengths, then we're able to connect with our strengths when we need them. And when someone else's strengths need them to be the leader, we allow that to happen, right? And it's only when we've built this sort of social capital that we understand where we are that this can happen. We also build trust and acceptance, right? We have to think about making positive inferences about who people are, that they have good intentions, that people want to be people, that they like the thought of working with other people, that they like the thought of building something new, something exciting, something interesting. We have to understand that people can have the best intentions, if maybe not the best delivery sometimes, but if we can see the insides of where people are coming together, we can build this trust, we can build this acceptance. You don't have to think like me. But if we all are in this for the same things, we all want the same things, we all want a peaceful world, then we can do that together. And we can do that by building community. We can plan our collective action for the future. Collective action. How many times do we think about what I'm going to do to make a difference? This is what I'm going to do. But what if we think about what we're going to do, right? I know there's a lot of students in here, and I know the thought of group work makes you want to groan, right? It doesn't change no matter what level you are. You think, oh, it's a group assignment, right? But really, in order to make change, it's a group assignment. You have your own individual roles, but it's a group assignment. We've got to do it. This is why all of us faculty make you do group projects, and I know you hate them, right? But really, it happens through the fact that we need group assignments in order to make the world a better place. And so it's in this space, and in this space here in this room, that we work together in order to make that change happen. We have to embrace each other. We did that, literally, right? We have to do it figuratively too. We have to embrace each other's ideas in order to make change. That happens in this collective space. We have to have a shared commitment. A shared commitment, right? We aren't only just committing to ourselves, but to each other to make this change. Through these theories, knowledge, behaviors, practices, right, that we join together to actually make a change in our social and our natural environments. We're coming off of Earth Day, right? We have to think about the fact that it's not just us on this planet. And while it's important for us to build our human culture and our human connections, we also must build the connections we have with the planet. And peace leadership isn't just about changing the world for us, it's changing the world for all of us, right? And it's our ability to do that that makes things so important. In fact, it's so important, Fran even helped build it into the schedule at 4 o'clock today that we're doing community building. So it's like we had this sort of connection, right? So at 4 o'clock, you actually have scheduled time to talk to each other, but I encourage you, don't wait until 4 o'clock. Let's start now with the ability for us to get together, to be in a space where we can engage in peace leadership and to make some change. Thank you very much.